It's crazy because I'm making an introduction here, and this isn't even my show, but I'm so used to talking, I might as well follow through with it, man. Welcome to Clapback Culture. These are your hosts right here: Julia, Jessie, Converge Media, Mike Davis, the South Seattle Emerald. Before I pop off here behind the scenes, though, I'll toss it over to you, Julia. You can tell everybody what you're talking about tonight.
Yes, so we have a good show coming up for you guys today. Today we're going to be talking about Mayor Keisha Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta who declined a cabinet position with President-elect Joe Biden. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about President Trump dishing out those pardons like their gift cards. So we want to talk about that and see what's going on. More updates on the stimulus check. We're going to see how much money they're not giving us. And we're going to talk a little bit about Breonna Taylor's mom, her open letter in the Washington Post. That's really interesting. We want to talk about that. And I got some clapback for the Grammys and how they did my girl Tiffany Haddish. So stay tuned. You're in for a good show.
All right, and before we get the ball rolling, what's up with you, Mike Davis?
Man, we got a lot going on in Seattle right now. For everything from what's going on over there at Cal Anderson to BLM, Seattle, King County, trying to jump in on a bunch of new projects, man. There's a lot going on over here, but I'm focused on this show right here. We're going to take it national, and we got a good conversation tonight.
Yeah, ooh, like you brought up something I don't mean to
Mhm.
take away from your show. I know you guys got your topics, but man, I'll tell you this, Julia, because I know you're out in D.C.
Hmm.
Here in Seattle, we've been asking for a diversity of voices within the black community
Okay.
because the big voice that been out here for a while, for a long time. People knew it was King County Equity Now, and so there's a bunch of different organizations around Seattle and King County. There's another organization that popped up, WBBBA. So it's called
Okay.
Washington Build Back Black Alliance, right? And they're there. And now Black Lives Matter, Seattle King County, they now have a legislative alliance that's out there. Very interesting though, because of all of these, they've said that they're harnessing basically the power of the protests in the streets and taking it to the halls of legislation. But they weren't necessarily known as being big supporters of the protests that were in the streets. And actually, when our black county council member, Gurmai Zahalai, came out there to the protest, it got feedback. They might even filed a formal complaint saying that politicians shouldn't be out there with protesters. And it's interesting now. Yeah. And we called this back in June. In June, I found the stream where I'm like, you know what? If you plan to use the work that these young people did in these streets with the protests to further your political agenda, get out here.
Hmm.
I said, don't come months later trying to take what happened here in the streets. Mike Davis, did I call something?
Uh, that's exactly what it looks like right now. It's crazy. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the mic, but like I think you hit it right on the money. Um, the Black Lives Matter movement is a really interesting thing because usually when you have an organization and you have a movement and you separate the two, it's usually the organization that will be upstanding. But in this case, you got the national chapter of BLM with $10 million in receipts that they can't produce. And then here in Seattle, we got our local chapter who took the stance of no protest until protesting was popular. Then they wanted to say, let's protest. And now they're trying to build this whole legislative piece based off work that they didn't even do. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's funky in the streets out here, Jules Jesse.
Wait. So can you? Well, I don't want to hold this up too much, but so I'm a little bit confused about Councilmember Gramai. How does it? So are people mad that he's a politician?
No,
And
not people. Black Lives Matter, Seattle King County. They did a whole press conference saying that elected because so here's what happened. It's
they're
interesting
saying
because
elected officials should stay private.
shouldn't have came out. But here's what happened, and it's funny this comes up because Como, the one of the stations here, they did a documentary saying like Seattle's dying part two. But anyways, in there they was like, yo, the city council members showed up to the protest just to take a selfie, right? That's what they said. But actually, what had happened is I was on my stream for days. I was like, if you're an elected official, whether this is your district or not,
Right,
if
right,
people elected you to office, even if you're a dog catcher, come here and bear witness.
Right.
Bear witness to what we see right here, right? And the politicians, listen, and that wasn't Omari saying, it's people in the neighborhood at Capitol Hill. You see what I'm saying? They wanted to see somebody who was accountable to the people be there. And so these elected officials, whether people like them or dislike their agenda, they showed up out there.
Yeah.
And then BLM, man, they did a whole news conference saying that, like, man, that wasn't okay.
That it's so interesting that Seattle, some organization in Seattle is even positioning themselves like that, because here in DC, people are always waiting for a politician to come out and really stand with the people. I mean, that's the whole point, that you are voted and elected in office. So being a person that works under Councilmember Trayon White, a lot of people will give him criticism because they feel like he's too much in the streets. So it's just interesting to see maybe a 180. Why would you have a public official, someone who is supposed to be the voice of the people, but you don't want them to be at the demonstration on the front lines? I don't get that. That's stupid.
Welcome to Seattle, my friend.
Yeah, that's very that's
But
so
but this is the thing is that these guys had a whole press conference saying that how politicians shouldn't be out there at the protests and everything else and all this other stuff. During the protest, they didn't endorse the protest there. They said people should go home because of COVID. You know what I'm saying? And really, I'll be honest with you 100%, because I'm all for the diversity of voices. I'm all for people having their opinion. But when I went to the webpage there, to the Black Lives Matter Seattle King County Alliance webpage, I'm cool, because I really feel like if I wanted to start an alliance to lobby Governor Inslee, I wouldn't want nobody hating on me, and I don't hate on nobody. Everybody's welcome to come on the show, and I still welcome it. I welcome Black Lives Matter Seattle King County to come on to the morning update show. I've been asking them since June. By the way, we never get press releases from them. We definitely are. We're not only recognized as black media, the international press recognizes Converge Media, but Black Lives Matter, they don't send us any press releases. They don't return any of our emails. We invite them several times to be on air. But, and you know, I wouldn't really have, and I don't have an issue with them lobbying Governor Inslee in the legislature. What I have, the problem that I have, and hold on, since we're on this topic, and I'm sorry, this you guys' show, man. But
you're hijacking. Come on.
Hold on. Let me just get to it real quick, because you know I just want to show people visually.
Okay.
Hear what I'm talking about, and then we'll move on. So what this says right here, and let me go to the actual fundraising page. This is the page where people are raising money.
Right.
It says right here, Washington Black Lives Matter Alliance members carry the power of the protest from the streets into the hall of power to dismantle systemic racism across Washington state. And so that's all I'm saying is like, word? When was you in the street?
That's not what they said on Cairo.
Oh, well, yeah, they did a whole press conference.
They did a whole press conference on Cairo where they came out with their leadership, actually got in front of cameras to distance themselves from the protest and the protesters. They had comments on how to protest, and then they gave their 2 cents about why people should stay in the house instead of protesting. So it's really interesting for them to come out and have this stance.
Yep. So, anyways, that was that. I wouldn't have said anything even on this show tonight, but you know, Mike Davis always popping. He always got something to say.
I mean, you asked me what's up, man. That's what's up in Seattle right now. That's what we're going to.
That's what people are talking about, and that's what I'm saying is people have a legislative agenda, but about this protest and about this thing this summer where a total of 3 people died, 6 people shot, Lorenzo Anderson Jr., Antonio Mays Jr., Summer Taylor, you know what I'm saying? Then, man, this whole tribe, there's a lot of people that's legitimately, man, dead, injured, traumatized, a whole neighborhood traumatized and everything else. And for somebody on a fundraising page to say they're harnessing the power of the protests in the streets, my friend. Anyways, on that note, I'll turn it back over to you guys. You'll catch me back here, and I'll let you get going with your show. I think you were talking about Mayor Keisha Bottoms. Have a good show.
Take it easy.
Well, we would like to invite Black Lives Matter on the Clapback show too. So Clapback Culture welcomes King County Black Lives Matter, or the Washington chapter. So come join our show. I know Mike Davis has tons of questions.
I'd love to have them on.
All right, well, let's get into it. So our first topic, Mike, is about Mayor Keisha Bottoms. And there was a few reports that came out. The first of which was a tweet that came out from a reporter that said that Mayor Keisha Bottoms declined an ambassadorship position. Upon some further research and a little bit more release from the news, we did find out that she was actually never offered an ambassadorship position, but that she did turn down a cabinet position. So what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
My thoughts are that I think that she was clearly offered something. It's not 100% sure what it is. I'm glad that it wasn't a paid vacation to the Bahamas, because that just would have been disrespectful. But for all of the work that she did on Biden's campaign, even to the point where at one time she was being talked about as possibly being vice president. I mean, he should have offered her something. I mean, for everything that Georgia has meant to his campaign, it seems like everything that's happened since he's became the elect has been a slap in their face. I don't understand why Joe keeps doing this to Georgia every chance he gets.
I knew you were going to take this stance, and so I came prepared with comments. Listen, if you were on the as a powerful Black woman, as a powerful woman in leadership, particularly politics, you got to think about it kind of a different way. If I'm on the short list for vice president and they choose someone else, particularly someone who's also my peer, who is Kamala Harris, to offer me a cabinet position or a position, the ambassadorship position, it's not really good enough, right? Why would Mayor Bottoms want to take a cabinet position over running Atlanta? You know what I'm saying? It's like she doesn't have to do that. She's already in a huge position of power, and she is running Black Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? She's running a huge city nationally. I just don't think it's necessary for her to kind of step down from that throne to take a position that's not, particularly because we don't know exactly what position she turned down, right? I think she wanted the housing HUD position, and we know that Representative HUD is in the position to get that. So if she's not going to get exactly what she wants, I think her kind of taking a step back and saying, you know what, this is not the perfect fit, and kind of taking a seat back and waiting for something else. It's hard to be on a short list for vice president and then take something a little bit less than. I might as well just stay the queen of Atlanta, honey. That's how I feel. But it's cute that you said that ambassadors would be on like a cute vacation, because really that's not what ambassadors are supposed to do. But do you have a feeling that they're just like paid vacationers, that they just get to travel all over the world? Because I mean, they are they're foreign service officers.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying for the mayor of Atlanta to become the U.S. ambassador to the Bahamas, yes, that might feel like a vacation, going from that job to that job. I mean, what's really popping in the Bahamas that really needs the strong hand of the United States to make it function like that?
I mean, they do represent the president of the United States. You know what I'm saying? And they're there in official capacity. I don't know necessarily what must be done, but they are charged with protecting and promoting the national interest. So we know that she wasn't offered that position, so we're not going to play into that too much. But I am friends with a few foreign service officers, so shout out to them. We don't think you're on a paid vacation. You do have a good job. So we'll leave it at that.
I agree. I just don't. I guess for me, I don't think that the mayor should, like, that's not her end all. I think there are positions in the cabinet that would have been a step up. I understand not getting the VP job. I mean, that was always going to be a short list, and that was always going to be a hard one to get, especially for her political career thus far. I mean, this is the biggest job that she's had. But at the same time, I'm sure that there could have been a position that would have been a step up for her to take. And the fact that someone from her camp leaked this in the first place, tells me that he at least felt disrespected by the offer that he received.
That is a way to think about it. That is a way to think about it. I don't know if I'm going to throw disrespect into it yet, but I'm sure that she obviously was not pleased with the offer. But, you know, I think the state of Georgia is happy to have her holding her position right there in Atlanta. So, you know, the offer being turned down, I'm sure, is appreciated by Georgians. Okay. I think we lost your sound, Mike. I know you were having some feedback issues anyway, but shout out to Mayor Keisha Bottoms. We love her, you know, and shout out to Atlanta. You guys wear your mask out there. I had a couple of the homies in Atlanta talking about people are out there and it's like nobody's wearing masks. You're only wearing masks if you're from out of town. I saw a couple of people posting that. So we know you guys got the corona out there. So keep it to yourself. So Keisha, help them out. Mike, do we have your audio back? Nope, we don't have you. We don't have you.
What about now?
Yes, you're back.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's move on. I know you want to talk about Trump giving those presidential pardons, or you know, essentially thinking about giving the pardons because we don't know if he is. So basically, what this is that Donald Trump is talking about preemptive pardons and giving it's a pardon that the president can get before he leaves. It's kind of like a get out of jail free card. And he wants to do it for his 3 kids, his son-in-law, and Rudy Giuliani, and a couple other lobbyists that they're potentially saying. So what do you think about this, Mike Davis?
I just think it's interesting. I think one more person on that list is the CFO of Trump's organization, the guy that was giving out all the hush money. He's also on the list, potentially. And it's just, I mean, way to go out with a bang. Make sure you take care of all the homies, man. That's what Trump's whole presidency was really about, man. He put on for his folks. And now on the way out, he's passing out pardons like hotcakes. I think what bothers me is that all of those people can get pardons, yet everyone that's on the list to be executed is still expected to die before January 20th. And that's the part that kind of feels weird to me with the whole Trump pardon thing. It's like how you make the decision of the people that get pardons versus the people that are going to be executed.
Bro, listen, first and foremost, shout out to Trump for even going so hard and thinking about potentially giving pardons out. I know one thing, if I'm the president and I did some crooked stuff, I'm giving myself a pardon. There just ain't no way. And I'm coming and I'm making sure my kids is good. I'm making sure all the homies are good. So I'm not even really mad at him. I know that right now they don't know if he can legally pardon himself. I hope not, because it'll be pure entertainment if he can't moving forward. So I'm not praying on his downfall. I'm not saying that. But, you know, listen, if he's going to go out with a bang, he's going to go out with a bang. But there's potentially a bribery scheme for the presidential pardons for individuals that acted as lobbyists to the senior White House officials that weren't complying with the registration requirements for the Lobbying Disclosure Act. And some of the names were redacted from the document, so we don't know exactly who those people are. But on a Fox News clip, I was hearing some of the Trump allies just kind of laying the foundation and kind of encouraging the viewers that Donald Trump, you know, that the prosecutors are, you know, wrongly targeting him before he gets out of office. And we need to, you know, he needs to go ahead and pardon himself and blah, blah, blah. Listen, you guys don't even need our excuses. He's been a gangster his whole 4 years. If he's gonna go out with a bang, he might as well go out with a bang. I can't even fake like I'm mad at him for doing that. He would be a fool for not giving out presidential pardons. That's all I can say.
That's true.
We'll see.
He got to protect the people that put on for him. He's doing his thing.
So he doesn't. I mean, Attorney General Barr, he's gone. And one thing that Donald Trump always does, it's almost like when you work for Trump, whether it was in the White House or, you know, on his TV shows or in his hotel business, this kind of like play it out in the public is his thing, you know? And so, you know, that if you work with him or you work for him, you know that it's on a limited time basis. And so these guys who like wrote, it's not like he's pardoning anybody that's not blood, right? Except for Rudy Giuliani and maybe a few other people, but it's not like he's giving out a vast number of pardons. But what we do typically notice is that when somebody is out, it's a public announcement. It's a tweet. It's a press conference. It's this big, like, you know, song and dance of like, this guy got up out of here. So he does not protect his people. He makes them do all the dirty work. And when he's done with them, he just tosses them and throws them out.
No, I agree. And I think that this comment about the pardons being an admission of guilt is really right on par with that. I would guess that the people that he's giving pardons to outside of his blood relatives are going to be the people that he doesn't want to talk and say anything that can indict himself. It always comes back to himself. But I mean, he got famous from the reality TV show, and he basically run that same type of game the whole time that he's been president. I mean, he spent his whole presidency on Twitter, like one of the most active Twitter accounts that we have right now. So that really is, I mean, that's his game. It was even interesting to see Barr, like he tweeted about Barr's resignation like minutes after it happened. Like as soon as he found out.
He's a thug. He don't care. I mean, listen, are we surprised? No. Are we, is it a mission of guilt? Hell, I mean, yeah. You don't give somebody a preemptive pardon like that. I mean,
a preemptive pardon. Think about that word choice. Like that's literally an admission before we find that you're guilty.
Before you guys do this thorough investigation, let me go ahead and pardon these guys until you find it. It's just like, what?
I just wish we had somebody the opposite of Trump that was able to ride as hard as Trump rides. I think that that's the only part that really bothers me. Like he can do his thing, whatever. People voted for him. He was in office. But like, why can't we get the opposite on the other side to come ride for our folks like that?
I think that's what we've been talking about. And so that moves us into, and hopefully we can skip ahead. Amari, don't kill me. But I think that's a good segue into the conversation or into the open letter that Breonna Taylor's mom put out, is that we really do need somebody who can just jump out there, right? Like Donald Trump had no problem sticking his neck out there. And so a little bit about Breonna Taylor's mom, Miss Tamika Palmer, she put out an open letter into the Washington Post and basically called out Joe Biden and was like, listen, I spoke to your campaign and you made a lot of promises and I'm here to hold you accountable. And so it was a full page ad that ran in the weekday edition, asking Biden to hold police accountable by enacting a list of measures and policy changes. And some of the top three that she pointed out in the letter were appointing people to the DOJ with a proven record of holding police accountable, ordering the DOJ to reopen investigations into police violence that wasn't completed under the Obama administration, and ordering large-scale federal investigations into cases of police brutality. So she is calling out to say, put your money where your mouth is, because we had a conversation. A lot of these people who voted for you voted you in for this reason. And so don't have this kind of shy, mundane attitude of like, we have to be, no. Let's get a little bit of gangster Biden in the White House. If Donald Trump is giving people preemptive pardons before he rolls out, I think we can get Joe Biden to jump in within the first 100 days and bring justice to Breonna Taylor. I mean, is that too much to ask?
It's not too much to ask. I just don't really expect it of Joe Biden. I mean, we're going to see what happens as these cabinet picks keep rolling in. But so far, I mean, where's the progressive in the area of criminal justice reform? Where's the progressive person that like actually held police accountable? Because that's what Ms. Palmer asked for in her letter specifically was, are you going to appoint anyone that has a proven record of holding police accountable for their actions? So far, we haven't seen that cabinet pick yet. So I hope that it comes forward, but I mean, I don't know, man. I know Joe Biden's track record on law and order and these types of issues. And folks always want to jump on me about people can change, people can change, people can change. Well, where's the change? Where's the change that we've seen from Joe Biden? So far, the only thing that he said about defund the police is that he doesn't like the slogan. But what's up? You know, for all you Biden supporters out there, maybe some of y'all's in the chat, let me know, like, what's up with your guy? Is he actually going to do the things that he campaigned on or not?
Absolutely. I mean, I stand with you firm on that, brother. I mean, I do not support Joe Biden's previous history of law and order. So he has restitution to play with the Black community right now, and he has the opportunity to do so. And so I really, really, really like where the Black voice is going. It's extremely powerful right now, and it's unfiltered. It's, you know, it's raw. It's straight shots, no chasers, and it's a lot of these things that a lot of our Black leaders are talking about. Not even just Black leaders, but Miss Palmer, she jumped out here into, you know, almost our civil rights movement, if you will. And she's really sticking her neck out there to, on behalf of this really like sad sisterhood of mothers that have lost their kids to police brutality and to gun violence and all of these things. But I really, really, really like this rise in the Black culture right now. It's just so powerful. It's so extremely raw. It's action oriented, and things are said with pride and vigor. And it's just a new tone, and it has like a new oomph that I think that we need. And, you know, I know we're kind of talking about like, we're not sure if this is going to happen, but I really like that people are, and not people, but Black folks are keeping their foot on his neck. The NAACP is like, listen, I got 10 homies that's ready to fill these seats, and we voted you in, bruh. So this is the thing. You can't pander for the Black vote and then we just sit back and feel like it was, you know, back in the days where we wasn't going to keep our foot on your neck. No, we're going to accelerate and keep that pressure. And it's going to be all 4 years, and we're going to ride you. We're going to ride you all the way. So
as we should. And we're just reading that open letter in the Washington Post, you can feel the passion in the letter. And this is coming from a woman that was literally shuttling people to the polling station so that they could go vote for Joe Biden. So like, these are your feet on the ground that are speaking to you. So, you know, these are things that
a lot to make up for. I mean, he has a lot to make up for. And I know that, you know, I spoke about this during the election, that I absolutely was not, well, I spoke about this before he was nominated, before he had the Democratic nominee. And I was absolutely not a fan of Joe Biden because of the crime bill and all of the side effects that came from that. And here he is, you're about to be president. You got the first 100 days to make some real changes. And we see, America has seen this veil of what can be done by a president, by Donald Trump. And if we didn't get anything from that administration, we see that things can happen literally overnight. So I'm definitely gonna keep my foot on his neck, because if in 4 years we don't have no progress, he got to roll.
We just want to do so many things that people said the president didn't have the power to do, and yet here we are. I would also point out too, I'm really, really interested to see who's going to be the new AG.
Me too.
Barr came in and wanted to bring the death penalty back. He was able to do so. I think his kill count was at like 9 people, and he was really pressing to get these last 5. Well, now that he's gone, we'll see what Trump does. Like, hopefully some of those lives could be spared since he's gone. But Yo, that's a really, really big pick for Joe Biden, and people want to see somebody progressive with a background in civil rights, and we'll see where Joe Biden goes with this.
Well, look, we're almost out of, I mean, we're almost out of time with that. So they'll be rolling out, you know, throughout the holidays before the new year. I'm sure we'll get some of those picks all the way out there, but I'm with you. You know, we got a couple comments, Miss Wendy Glenn. Joe Biden has never been for police reform and has always been for hard on crime that negatively impacted black men and women. Absolutely. I mean, this is the thing. Joe Biden knows he did not get the black vote. He really didn't get a strong vote for his leadership style, his track record. People voted for him because he was the lesser of the evil. And I think because of that, he has so much more to prove in order to really be a great president and have a new legacy. So listen, I'm not clearing the slate for him by any means, you know, but 40 years in politics, you're going to make some mistakes, but boy, did you make some that are just, people are still playing out. Let's see a couple people being released from that crime bill, brother. Let's see what these first 100 days is looking like. I know we got the coronavirus, but we're going to need to see some reform in police brutality and police accountability and defunding the police and restructuring and whatever. I don't care what you want to call it, but we need to see some actions taken. And that's what Auntie Tamika said it. Okay. Breonna Taylor's mama said it, and that's it. So that's Auntie Tamika. I bet you. And don't go to people like that in our community and make promises, and then we go out and vote for you, and we get all of our friends and family to vote for you, and we vouch and give our word, and then you don't stand on it. That's the most crushing thing. And I think at this point where we are in politics, I think we're really seeing a transition where both Republicans and Democrats are kind of blending into this new category to say it's not about either side. It's about, are you going to stand on your word and stand on what you ran on? Because that's why I voted you in, and I plan to hold you accountable for that.
I agree. And I think the numbers that we seen in this last election, I mean, there were more people that voted this time than ever before. So there's definitely going to be more eyeballs on this. There's more people watching. There's more people interested. You got a lot of people that have been stuck in their homes for a long time that have been consuming a hell of a lot more politics than they ever have. So it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be quiet. And if we don't see these changes, people will remember in 4 years what happened. So I would suggest that Joe Biden starts making some real changes.
He's going to have to. I mean, you're going to have to. I mean, listen, it's just, it is what it is. So let's talk stimulus. We're looking at a new stimulus. What's up with that? What do you know about it, Mike Davis?
Well, originally they had $900 billion on the table, and they had $0 coming to individual families and households. Now we got some new reports coming out that there will be money added, but it's not going to be the $1,200 from last time. It'll most likely be around $600. And I don't know what they expect people to do with that. I mean, you're not paying no bills with that. $600, you can't even go get the new PlayStation. I don't know how they settled on $600 to American families when we're facing a pandemic, especially one that our government mishandled so badly that we've been stuck in this for months and months and months, even as we're watching other countries reopen and come back to their normal lives.
Yeah.
I don't know what they expect us to do in this country. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we do know that smaller versions of relief packages have been passed. And so that $900 billion is still on the table, which is half of what the Democrats asked for, which is double what the Republicans asked for. Your boy Bernie Sanders is talking about should have been double that, which your brother should be double that. And he also talked about Bernie Sanders talked about direct payments to families, being that $600 would go to adults and then $600 for children within that family. So it could be up to maybe like $3,400 for a family of 4. That hasn't been passed yet, but something like that would be more significant, right? Like if you are a family of 4, and I know you have kids, Mike, that's something more significant. Like it's $600 in a family of 4, 5. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Like that's not even 1 month's rent. That's barely groceries for a family of 4. And my kids are home all day, eating all day long. So they definitely need to go back to the table. I think they have a solid deadline of Friday. If at Friday at midnight they don't come to a decision, the government is officially shut down. And so we'll see what that does. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, people are really facing huge crisis right now, facing evictions. They can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford to pay their bills. I mean, a direct payment of any kind would be helpful. But to go from 1,200 to go from 1,200 and then to say, okay, we're just going to give you 600. It's just crazy. Like it should have been doubled. Instead of 1,200, it should have been 2,400. You know what I'm saying? That's what we should have went with that.
Month, like the rest of the developed nations had decided to do. You could just look right north of us to Canada, and their people have been getting money monthly. I would also say that a lot of the people that are impacted, where like they had jobs that they had to physically do at work, and work gets shut down, and they have nothing. That 600 isn't going to mean anything to them. Even if you have a family of 4 and you get 600 per, I mean, what about all of these months where you haven't been paying rent? What about when this rent moratorium goes away? What about all of the places where the rent moratorium was never even upheld and people were already being evicted? What about in Seattle where you're not even allowed to be homeless in our city? So what are people supposed to do? It's government failure. Like they continue fail us, and I don't know what they expect us to do sitting at home staring at all of this failure.
We got a comment from Maggie Cobbler, excuse me. Because in October, Pelosi and Schumer walked the Republicans, Trump via Mushin, proffer of 1.8. Girl, you got a lot of like.
Yeah, that's a tough one to read.
1.8 trillion with survival checks at 1,200, and then 2 trillion with the same survival check. So at that time, Dems were asking for 2.2 trillion. Oh, thank you. Can you help me read?
Mr. Director can see it a bit here better. So basically, what I'm saying is, back in October, Trump via Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, they offered way more money, but Pelosi walked away from it. And so they were like, okay, remember Trump was like, yeah, well, whatever. I'm not even going to talk about this again until after the election, right? Yeah. Right. So now it's half of what the original offer was. They were like, they wanted more than that. And yeah, it kind of blew up in their face.
Yeah. And now but now they're just at the table with just half, right? And so it's not enough. I think, Mike, you bring up a good point that let's talk a little bit about that rent, right? So there's this hold on evictions, and there are people that just are not paying their rent, right? And I know that, working in a public service agency, I do see a lot of people, like I see the agency saying, if you need help with your rent, apply here. Let us know that you need to keep your receipts that show that you cannot pay. You have not been able to pay your rent for the last 6, 7, 8 months. And you need to keep a record of that. There are people who are not tracking that, who have not reached out to those said agencies, who are just looking at this thing like, you know what? I cannot afford to pay my rent. I don't know who to call. I don't know who to talk to, but I ain't paying my rent and my landlord can't kick me out. Okay. So then boom, January, February comes and landlords are saying, okay, now you got to pay your rent. And so the hold is lifted. Yeah. And now you're back paid by 12 months.
That's the problem right there.
And you owe $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 to your landlord. I mean, where do we go from there? And what is $600 going to do for that? What does it do for the landlord? And that's a whole nother thing. What about homeowners? Especially people who own like large buildings, and so if they're not getting paid, and the maintenance in the building goes down, how are they going to pay for that?
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a domino effect. I know that here in Seattle, I feel like we have a lot of people that are like trying to ride against the landlords, but in a lot of cases, man, you do have some landlords who probably own a bunch of properties and are wealthy, but a lot of people might just own a building. They might just own a house. Like that person is not necessarily wealthy. They also have a bill that they have to pay too. So it shouldn't really be us as people getting mad at other people, man. This is a government issue. We pay taxes. This is the reason why we pay taxes. This is what bothers me with like the homeless problem in Seattle. It's like it always has to be citizens. It always has to be grassroots organizations that are stepping up to help the unhoused folks. Why are they taking taxes out of my check every single pay period if the government is not going to help the citizens? The whole purpose of the government serve is to support our infrastructure in society. If they're not going to do their jobs, why do they keep collecting our money? Nobody should be unhoused. And if people are unhoused, then the government owes me money. Give it back. Give it back and do your job, man. Like it's crazy. So even landlords, man, I feel for y'all too, because I know the bank is not going to just allow you to slide in our home. And I know for a fact that for our mortgage, they told us if we couldn't pay, all that back pay was due on a date. And it was one specific date where all of those back payments were going to be due at once. And if people can't pay their rent today, this month, I don't know what makes you think they're going to be able to pay 10, 11 months at once. So it's unreasonable. And at some point, we got to get some adults in the government to actually step up and start doing their jobs.
Let's just get a forgiveness program rolled out. And I'd like to also submit my student loan debt in there. And I'd like to get that payment rolling in there too, because I can't afford it right now. You know, I'm just stressed. I just want to roll that Navient payment in there, that Sally Mae payment in there. Let's go ahead and get that in there too. Let's get us out of debt.
It'll be nice if we could ever get to a place where the government works for the people instead of the corporations. That would be nice. The corporations are going to get their bailout. They're going to get billions on top of billions for the corporations. But meanwhile, the people at home, you know, we're left scraping at the bottom. So yes, that's what our vote is doing for us.
That's the sentiments of your boy Bernie Sanders. He's saying that, you know, his constituents are saying, what can the government do to help us? So what can the government do to help the people right now, immediately in this need? And so that's why the direct payments are super important, as well as, you know, the other relief packages for states and local governments. So they need both. It's not just, and people have to remember that. And that's why it, you know, 900 billion sounds like a lot, you know, but to the, you know, to your point, we need to be able to infuse capital into states so that states can say, okay, it costs X amount of, it's a higher cost of living here in Washington State, Washington, D.C. than it is in, you know, Missouri. Okay. And so what type of bailouts do we need to have strategically outlined for our residents as opposed to, you know, a different state? And so we need to be able to give those communities more leverage to take care of their residents.
You're right, Julia. And when we roll into one of our next topics, we're going to talk about states' ability to get money from the federal government. That's definitely coming up soon.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and chat about that now. And I want to welcome everybody to our show. I know we have some regulars. How you doing, Zora? What's up, sis? Welcome to the show. I know you said you were a little late, but we're always grateful to have you tuning in. I do notice you all the time when you come in. Yeah, so are you talking about the only type of defund our government is okay with, Mike Davis?
Yes.
Okay, so build it up for us. Tell me what you think.
We got to take a quick break, but we can jump in as soon as we get back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations.
Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, want to thank you for all your support.
And we're back. Yeah, definitely glad to be back. A shout out to Converge Media. They need a stimulus check too. Shoot. Support your Black media, you guys. That's the only way we can do this is with your support. So moving right along, the only type of defund our government is okay with is what, Mike Davis?
So in California, it's looking like the Trump administration is about to take $200 million worth of federal funding from the state because their state insurance allows coverage for abortions. And not only are they taking the 200 million now, but the threat is that they're going to continue to take 200 million per quarter until California complies. And I just thought that was interesting because, you know, the Democrats are scared to death of the slogan, defund the police. Meanwhile, the Republicans are literally defunding the healthcare system in California. And they didn't need a snappy slogan to do it. They just literally, man, they got a complaint, made them realize that abortions were covered. Next thing you know, 200 million gone.
Gone, snatched.
Yes, and that is the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. There was no conversation. There was no slogan. There was no messaging. They just got it done. Wouldn't it be nice if the Democrats could step in and get things done that efficiently? Now, reading that report, though, it doesn't look like once Joe Biden gets in office, he will be able to reverse this. So this will most likely be temporary. I just thought that it was really interesting to see like healthcare be defunded in the days where we're trying to defund the police, and it's been so hard.
And it's ridiculous. Like this whole idea of defunding healthcare during a public health crisis makes absolutely no sense. But again, the Trump administration is jumping out there with, you know, leaving out with a bang. I mean, this is what they have literally been trying to dismantle the entire time that he's been in office. And so, you know, the Department of Human Services is huge, and to lose $200 million in funding is substantial. And then this whole idea of like, you know, it's defunding healthcare so that Californians can't get abortions. Listen, let me tell you something about women historically. Even if you couldn't go to a doctor to get a legal abortion and have the government help pay for that legal abortion, if it became illegal or defunded, women are still going to find a way to get their healthcare services in that manner. And that's just that. And so why not make it safe and affordable for a woman that wants to make that decision? So I just hate the idea that people are always like, oh, we need to defund Planned Parenthood. Why? So someone can go get an abortion in a back alley and die? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, before abortions were legal, women were getting abortions. Before abortions were paid for, women were getting abortions. So that rhetoric is just so ignorant to me. And it puts so many women at risk because it doesn't even matter what position they're in. Honestly, it doesn't matter if they have 5 kids and they don't want to have another one. A woman could be married and it's just like, it's just not the time. Me and my husband are on the fritz and this is just not what I want to do. When you have a child, my homegirl and I were just talking about this. When you have a baby, it sets a woman back 10 years. Okay. Your whole life changes for that first 10 years until your child is able to be independent. Now, we can talk about that, but let's also think about, you know, clinics and agencies like Planned Parenthood offer more services than just abortions. And so this idea of like defunding, oh, people are just getting abortions. No, they're not. You can get all types of screenings. You can get birth control. And and a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay. So shout out to Planned Parenthood. You know, I love y'all. Okay. Y'all been keeping women and men, because there's women in there. I mean, men and women in there. Okay. And when I could not afford my birth control, I would go up in there and you'd be in there for like 5 minutes and they'll get you a prescription. You go to the pharmacy and you're in and out, period. It's just very, very simple. Okay.
I agree with everything you just said. It never made sense to me how the party that's so anti-abortion is also the party that's anti-take care of people socially. Like, that makes no sense. Like, you want to force people to have babies, but you want to give them no support once these babies are here. It just doesn't line up to me.
Well, Howard, in the comments, Howard Doughty says they should use the morning after pill. Guess what? You can go to Planned Parenthood and get the morning after pill. The morning after pill is like $50. So if I don't have no money because it's the pandemic and I don't have a job and I've been laid up with my man every day and I accidentally get pregnant and I can't afford a $50, $50 to $60 plan morning after pill, maybe if the defund in California wasn't gone, I could go to Planned Parenthood and get me a free morning after pill.
Absolutely. If I have healthcare insurance, I go to the doctor and get a healthcare procedure. Like, why would I not be able to do that? I can, as a man, I could go get any procedure that I want to get. So why do we have certain rules for certain genders to have procedures? It makes no sense. Anyway,
it's just wrong that the Trump administration would threaten California's healthcare system right now. It's really, really, really cheap, right? It's just a low blow right now. We're in a global pandemic, and to threaten anybody's healthcare, access to healthcare right now, particularly people who are already disenfranchised.
Yes.
It's not like people who have insurance. If I have a good high paying job, and maybe not even high paying, but if I have a good job, or even just a government job, and I have health insurance, I'm covered by my health insurance. My healthcare insurance really isn't threatened. But if I'm a person who has Medicaid or Medicare, or I'm on some type of government assistance, and that already lets you know my income bracket is already low. I already can't afford to purchase my own private insurance. And so to threaten my ability to be able to go get any type of checkups, if I get sick with coronavirus and just want to get antibiotics, if I want to get a Z-Pack, if I have a cold and I want to get some cough syrup, like if I need something over the counter, if I have a fever, if I can't get something that I need, and it's just like, right now, really, like, do we have to do that right now? Can we focus on anything else right now than threatening the healthcare?
And it's specifically Medicaid that's being defunded. So, I mean, yeah.
Listen, when you know who else gets Medicaid? Our seniors. Yeah. And when we talk about our seniors, we're talking about people who don't even leave the house. What about someone who has a home health care nurse that comes in? Okay. So now what happens to their stuff? Do they still get
COVID?
Yeah. Who may have COVID because their aid is coming in and out. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can think about that. And it's sad because I know a lot of people, especially in the Black community, are like, man, I ain't going to the doctor. You cannot afford to be sick. A lot of our immigrant population, you cannot afford to be sick. You can't afford it. You're thinking about, how can I even go to the doctor? When can I even get time for an appointment? And we're not even just talking about, what about dental care, right? What if you get an abscess in your tooth and you can't go? I mean,
no, it's major. You're absolutely right.
I can't. Let's see what I want to roll up in the comments. I want to roll up in the comments real fast and just see what people are talking about. Dora, it's the religious right. Their answer is just don't have sex. Oh, I know. Isn't that so annoying? I hate when people say that. Yeah. Listen, everybody who's talking about use a condom, use birth control. Listen, you've had unprotected sex in your life. Okay, you have. Let's just stop pretending like that doesn't happen. There is no right or wrong way to, well, there is a right and wrong way, excuse me, but there's just no perfect way to tie your sexual health to government. Like that should, those two things should be mutually exclusive. Christina, it should be free and accessible to be a solution. So humans have free will, and the solutions to growing pains, that the free will needs to be free and accessible. Isn't that what I just said? You said it better than me, sis, but that's exactly what it said. So moving forward, we'll go ahead and move along. But I want to definitely squeeze this in before our show is over. I want to talk about the Grammys, and I want to talk about being a grateful Black woman, because I am not a grateful Black woman. Okay, I want to let you know that right now. And I think we have a really good clip that talks about it's a viewer, our good sis. She sounds like she's from London or something like that. But our good sis on Twitter, Machine Gun Kelly, she basically is talking about Tiffany Haddish and the audacity that the Grammys had of saying, come and do our show, even though it's on, come and do our pre-game show, our pre-Grammy show, and we're not going to pay for you. We're not going to pay for you being the host. We're not going to pay for your glam team. We're not going to pay for your outfits. We just want you to do this show because you're going to get a lot of exposure, and that should be good enough. So the audacity of audacities. But I think this clip really sums up how I feel and a lot of people feel. So if we could roll.
So I've just finished another run, and it's been on my mind, this whole Tiffany Haddish situation, right? How she was asked by the Grammys to host online, host for free without payment. And it just really hit me, because at first I thought, wait, am I the only one that this shit happens to? But it seems like no matter where you end up in society, as a Black woman, you're always expected to be grateful to be there. Look, fam, I'm not a grateful Black woman. I'm grateful to the divine. As in, I'm grateful to God for the opportunities that come my way. I'm grateful to my ancestors that continue to ride with me every step of the way. But me, be grateful to an institution. Nah, you lot should be grateful to me that you've got divinity sitting at your table. That is what you should be grateful for. I'm not a grateful Black woman when you're entering into these spaces that are antiquated in their values and so draconian in their mindset. And, they feel like you should just be happy, regardless of how much you've done for yourself. You should be happy because you're getting exposure. Fam, that's why I wear sunscreen. I'm not trying to get exposure. And for you to have come across me, fam, that means I was already exposed. So you're not going to pay me in exposure. Slavery's over. I hate slavery. Yeah? So I think that anybody, any organization that wants you to be a part of what they're doing, they need to know your worth. And for too long, Black women have just been like, at least I've got a seat at the table. I don't want a seat at anybody else's table so they can tell me when to get the fuck up when they're tired of me. I want my own banqueting hall. Yeah, I don't want to be doing all of this nonsense that you should just be grateful that we invited you. You don't need to be paid. Anyone that's running that shit in 2021 needs to be named and shamed, because you can't keep expecting free labor from Black women. You've had it for 400 years. Start paying the fucking money.
Yo.
This is what I'm talking about, Mike Davis. When I was talking about Mayor Keisha Bottoms, she don't have to be grateful at all that she got offered a cabinet position, because guess what? She is already holding reign. But let me bring it back to Tiffany Haddish. There is something that we have to always remember. As a Black woman, when I step in the room, I don't have to appreciate this opportunity, because as my good sis said, fam, I need to have a banquet hall. I'm not appreciative that I get to sit at your table and you get to dictate how you get to run my day. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. I don't intend to work for anybody, because I don't need anybody telling me how to do my thing. The audacity that a huge organization like the Grammys would even part their lips to say anything to Tiffany Haddish, who is up for a nomination. Who is up for a nomination? How dare you? The audacity to think that she doesn't need the exposure because I'm already here. I'm already nominated. There is nothing else that needs to happen. I am here. I've been here. You need me. So the audacity to think that as a Black woman that you're here for the exposure. You're asking me to join your table. Excuse me? Excuse me? No. And then number one, I listened to a few other additional footage, not footage, but additional conversations about this online. And I guess traditionally they have not paid people to do the pre-Grammy show because it's on just kind of like on their online platform. It's kind of like the secondary version of the show. It's, because it's the pregame. I don't care. I do not care. I do not care. I do not care. And the I guess he's like kind of like the president. Oh, go ahead, Amar. I see you coming in, brother. But I'm coming in with.
I was just gonna let it go. I
was just gonna throw in here too that it just tells you how out of touch. So the people are down there in Hollywood this year of all years. This would actually be the year for the Grammys and the people in Hollywood to actually make a statement about equity and equality and all these things. So it's like, even if they don't really care, like most of corporate America doesn't, but corporate America, they're like, hey, this is a good opportunity for us. So that's like Black people, the rest of America think we care. And people make these commercials, they change the name of a syrup, they do all that kind of stuff. To just let you know they're out of touch in Hollywood. They've probably never been in touch.
It's super tone deaf too. It's just hella tone deaf. Like, how do you ask somebody who is nominated for a Grammy to show up for free to participate? Like, that's so crazy to me. Like, this person clearly has equity. Clearly, they're a game changer in the room. Like, what are we even talking about?
You can't pay a famous person with exposure. That is just what
they're blaming they're blaming the talent company that reached out to Tiffany, and they were saying it was in poor taste. It was in poor taste that they, kind of even made her that non-offer. But as she said, I am not a grateful Black woman, and I stand firm that don't ask me to come with my gifts. Don't ask me to come with my talents. Don't ask me to come with my born capabilities and then think that you can continue to just take and pull the magic that's within me, because what I bring to the table is something that you cannot bring. And that's why you're asking me. And so I think as Black people and as a Black community, we have to create more tables for ourselves. We have to stop thinking about institutions like the Grammys and really think about, okay, what about the Soul Train Awards? We really need to get excited about that. We need to be getting excited about our own Black award shows and ceremonies, because guess what? They are out of touch. They're tone deaf. They don't understand that what we have is something that is unequivocally undeniable and that is unmatched. You can't think about Tiffany Haddish and not really think about the value that she holds globally. I mean, she's a game changer. Sis is from Compton and is being nominated at the Grammys. I mean, I just can't understand why anyone have the audacity not to pay my good sis a good coin. Okay. So it's in poor taste. And, I don't see how we're still having these conversations about the Grammys. Really, I mean, first it was the Oscars. Here we are with the Grammys. If you're going to pay Trevor Noah to be the host, you're definitely going to pay Tiffany Haddish to be a co-host or whatever she is for the pre-Grammy thing. So that's my clapback for tonight.
Woo! There's nothing else that needs to be said, but shout out to Black women. Hey, we just seen some Black girl magic. We're at time. I mean, I think that's a perfect way to send us off.
Fire and spice.
Yeah, for real. You did that. For real. But before we go, I'll just say, shout out to everybody that's here with us. Thanks to everybody in the comments section. We love to go through the comments. We love it to be a conversation. So appreciate y'all for coming out and engaging with us tonight.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Make sure you come back next week, 7 p.m., same time, same place. And check out the Morning Update show every day at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My name is Jules Jessie. You can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of Jules, Jules. So make sure you go and follow me.
And I'm Mike Davis. You can find me at the South Seattle Emerald. Please, please, please go to the Emerald. We got a lot of good stuff cracking at the Emerald. Look us up.
Good. All right.